The following segment is a paid commercial program by Heritage Bank, member FDIC. It's time for Ask the Expert on News Talk 1340 and 96.3 FM, KWLM.
Thanks for joining us for Ask the Expert once again today. Chuck Nolting joining us. He's the Ag Relationship Manager with Heritage Bank NA, member FDIC. Chuck, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Todd. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you were in with Eric a little bit earlier during the summer, weren't you?
No, that wasn't,
a little while longer
me.
ago.
So, nope, I was on the show here about, probably 10 months ago.
Oh, it was
not
that
too
long ago.
After I'd started.
Oh,
so,
very good.
Yeah.
Well, just update us again. Where are you from, Chuck?
Yeah, so work for Heritage Bank as our Ag Relationship Manager. I'm based out of our Pennock branch.
Okay.
I guess I've lived in there with my wife, set up by Spice area for probably about 30 years. So, yeah, and my role at Heritage is really to work directly with farmers, ag and commercial businesses, and help them navigate, their financial decisions, whether that's from operating loans to long-term investments.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so you have a long background in that. Is that what you've done mainly at Heritage?
Well, since I've been with the bank, that's been my role. My background really is I'm an agronomist by education, and I've worked in crop production for 25 plus years. So, that's really my background, that I bring to this role. And I think it helps give me kind of a unique perspective. So, understand not just the financial side, but also the science behind the crop production, soil health, and input management. So, and I think that helps me connect kind of with the producers maybe on a little bit deeper level. And I can offer advice that's both practical, and financial. So
yeah, and you understand the costs it takes, right from the ground up to get the crops raised each year. Yep.
Yeah. I've worked in consulting roles, research, sales, production, input cost sales and things over the years. So yeah, that's really a helpful thing, I feel.
Yeah, so quite a while now with Heritage then, and it's always a learning process as you go through life. That's what makes it exciting, right? So what are some of the things that are different now from what maybe they were when you first got into it? Yeah,
so I've been with Heritage here for a little over a year, and yeah, it's been a great year of learning and listening. So I always learn a lot more when I listen. And I'd say one key takeaway, and, it kind of follows through from, my past role in agriculture now is, every farm's different. So, it's not just in the size of the farm or what crops they grow, but it's how they manage risk and really how they plan for the future. So, and just kind of reinforced to me that flexibility, whether it's in crop production or now in, financial planning, it's really crucial. So, and like I say, so whether I'm working with guys, we're structuring operating lines of credit, or maybe helping them with an equipment purchase. It's about finding the right solution, that fits their needs and goals.
Yeah.
So,
as an agronomist, you really understand how much the weather affects crops in the area. How is 25 looking as we're kind of heading into harvest season here? What's it looking like for farmers?
Yeah, I think I can get a little focused on the area that I work in, but, it's, local area. But, I think 2025 has really been kind of a mixed bag. If we look at the whole state, we're looking at corn yields that are going to be pretty strong. They're kind of, projecting right now maybe 199 bushels per acre. Soybeans, probably maybe a little more holding steady around 53 and a half. But I'd say for, West Central Minnesota, I expect, harvest results to be, really variable. We've just had a lot of uneven or excessive rainfall. We're kind of and some temperature swings. So I think variability is going to be the key here this year.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What are the financial outlooks then for some of that? I know sometimes farm income is high and sometimes it isn't.
Yeah, so the USDA came out with their farm income projections here recently. And they're saying so for 2025 they're really nationwide, they're expecting farm income to increase significantly compared to last year. So, that's certainly encouraging. But, I think it's important, to just kind of keep in mind that a lot of that's driven by government payments or maybe, and, really strong livestock prices. So, but I think when we look at crop production, certainly corn and soybeans, I think receipts off of those crop sales this year are really actually, forecasted to decline. So we're going to bring some challenges. So, numbers look good on paper when you look at the whole farm economy. But I think for, reality for crop producers, it's going to be a little more challenging.
Yeah.
So,
what are some of the challenges agronomically and financially that farmers are really facing coming up here?
Yeah, I mean, they're facing kind of a tough combination between the two, with agronomic challenges we've talked about, financial pressures. So, like I said, we're going to be dealing with, kind of delayed planting from, wet conditions this spring. We've had some soil erosion and nutrient losses just from, excessive rainfall. And difficulty getting the field, timely is going to, we're seeing increased weed pressure and disease pressure. So, and I think recently we kind of think we've got some cooler than average temps. So we're seeing, I think that's delaying crop maturity a little bit. Financially, a lot of farmers in the area are still kind of recovering from reduced incomes, in 2024. So, that's caused a lot of folks to kind of dip into their cash reserves, just in an effort to make ends meet. So, I guess my advice I'd give, to people, farmers right now, is just, kind of focus on your cost control, realistically evaluate your land productivity when you're looking at, 2026. And then, just try to lean into technologies that can kind of help you improve yield and efficiency. So, yep.
What might some of those technologies be that maybe farmers, that it could help them, maybe they've been more reluctant to engage with? Yeah,
it might be, like I said, might be just kind of embracing some new traits that we're going to, there's a lot of traits that are embedded into seed, this time, and, whether that's helping you with insect management or just giving you some weed control possibilities maybe you haven't used in the past. Might be looking at, if it's some, some of the new weed control technologies we've got out there or just packages for weed control, might be looking, maybe just kind of reevaluating timing on fertilizer application. It's always a balance between what you'd like to do and what your labor allows you to do, what your workload, what you can handle. So, yep.
And when you say labor, does that mean that there has been labor issues maybe for farmers too, finding help and so forth?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The thing we listen to or I talk about, with folks that are, maybe more of a commercial business, just finding good people. To work for them. Farmers certainly deal with that too.
Yeah.
And then you throw in the added challenge of seasonal workload. Where you need a lot of people to get a lot of work done in a short period of time. So that certainly is, and a lot of folks, have relied on family and friends or and maybe some of the folks that have been helping them are maybe getting a little bit older, and maybe not able to work as many hours as they have in the past. So yeah, it's a real challenge.
We're coming into that time of year right now too, aren't we? Harvest season is when they've got to have a lot of people working hard in a short amount of time.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like I say, harvest is a hectic, busy time of year. But I think it's also a good time to just kind of try to find time to reflect, and just kind of reset. So I'd think about what worked and didn't work for you this year. Kind of review your financials, look at them closely. And start planning for 2026 now. Get a good plan in place that you'll be able to follow next year. And part of that, maybe, think about your crop rotation, your input strategies, and again, kind of tools that'll help you manage risk. And like I said, don't hesitate to reach out to your lender early. I'd say the more proactive you are, the more options you're going to have. So,
Are farmers in contact with their lender annually? I mean, are they borrowing money to put crops in from year to year?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the, like I said, when we talk about kind of financial tools that you can use, if I'm talking about, just kind of trying to control inputs, costs, and manage risk, probably what most farmers, what we're doing on an annual basis is like a line of credit or an operating loan, and that's really a good tool just to kind of manage your cash flow and give you the opportunity to, lock in, and whether you're locking in fertilizer prices at the right time, again, with your, chemical inputs for weed control, just kind of gives you that flexibility to make purchase decisions and know you have the funds available to act when you think is the right timing. So,
is that for crop farmers, or are livestock farmers also getting annual loans?
Yeah, well, livestock producers also, their costs right now to certainly if you're purchasing calves or, with the way the livestock industry is right now, that cost for replacing or bringing new animals into your herd, a lot of people will take advantage of getting some type of operating loan just to help them buy replacement animals. Yep.
Yeah, and it's nice to have an operating loan. So you just set aside some money for the farmers, and they use it for their operational expenses as the year goes along?
Yep, exactly. And like we'll talk about a lot is a revolving line of credit where those funds are available to you. You kind of advance them as needed. You can pay them back when you're able to, and that just keeps that cash available for you to use, at the right time. So, yep.
Soybean prices aren't very good right now. Does that lead farmers sometimes to switch out their crops and not raise as many beans?
Yeah, definitely, and that's something we saw this year. I think, probably nationally, we're probably looking at. I think they talk about a $2 million swing from soybean acres to corn this year. Minnesota was probably around 400,000 acres, and I could see that trend, continuing. So, soybean prices are kind of expected to stay kind of around that low $10 mark, and I mean that's not terrible, but it's really tight. Makes it hard to kind of look at cash flowing on that. So, so one thing you can do is just kind of be strategic with your crop rotation. Look at where you're going to be growing crops on next year. What kind of soil characteristics and challenges will you have depending on if you're looking at corn or soybeans on those fields. If you're not in a position where you can maybe look at diversifying your crops a little bit from what you've done in the past, maybe look at that. That again gives you an opportunity to grow something a little bit better margin, or maybe that just fits your local market conditions. But and I'd say just input planning should be kind of conservative. Like I said, lock in prices where you can. Try to explore and find ways to reduce costs, without sacrificing yields. And that's always the thing. How can I reduce my costs but not sacrifice my yields? So.
Yeah. HeritageBankNA.com. Tons of great information on there. Chuck Nolting, Ag Relation Manager with Heritage Bank NA, member FDIC, joining us this morning. Chuck, I hope everyone has a great harvest and we get decent weather for them. That always helps when you have a good harvest.
Yep. If I could order something, I'd say we'd probably ask for what we had last year.
Yeah.
Nice, long, warm summer. And I'd say to everyone to, have a safe, and a good productive harvest season.
Yeah.
Farmers are always optimistic.
Yeah.
And they're they're out there trying to do the best with what they've got. So I wish them the best of luck.
That's right.
So,
you have a direct phone number, Chuck, that people can call you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So my direct line at the bank is 320-214-3967. And the general bank number is 320-235-5720.
Contact your lender early. Chuck's advice, so you can be all lined up for next year. Not have to worry about that. Chuck, thanks for coming in.
Yep, thank you, Todd.
Chuck Nolting joining us this morning from Heritage Bank NA, member FDIC on Ask the Expert.